Begin with the showdown in Russia. President Obama is on a collision course with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
They're both going to be at today's G-20 economic summit, but the real talk is over support for a U.S. military strike in Syria. Major Garrett is traveling with the president in St. Petersburg. Major, good morning.
Good morning, Nora and Charlie. In just a couple of hours, President Obama and Vladimir Putin, the Prussian president, will see each other for the first time since their intense disagreement over what to do in Syria exploded into global headlines. Now, the two will not meet in Constantine Palace. That's the edifice you see just over my left shoulder, which is the site of the G20 Global Economic Summit. But they will be around each other for a dinner tonight and a working group session, which means the president will be advocating for international support for military strikes against Syria, while Putin, in the very same room, will be trying to get the international community to do just the opposite. Now, while the president lobbies those world leaders he will see here in St. Petersburg, his own administration is coming under some scrutiny for its own lack of credibility on some key details about the Syrian conflict. Just hours before Air Force One touched down here, the Pentagon had to clarify a statement given in open testimony to Congress by the Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, who accused the Russian government of providing chemical weapons to the Syrian regime led by dictator Bashar al-Assad. The Pentagon later in a statement said what the Defense Secretary meant to say was that Russia has a long-standing relationship with Syria, providing conventional weapons, not chemical weapons. No official reaction here in Russia to that gaffe yet. But Russian President Putin has accused John Kerry, the Secretary of State, of lying about the role extremists linked with al-Qaeda play in Syria's opposition. Kerry also told Congress that about 20%, maybe fewer, of opposition fighters are linked to al-Qaeda-backed groups. Putin believes the number is much longer and says Kerry is lying, and he knows it. All of this creates a very icy diplomatic environment, and the president and Putin will be at cross purposes about Syria here in St. Petersburg, making all of this a show to watch indeed. Charlie and Nora?
No doubt. And Major, I also want to ask you about a picture that's on the front page of the New York Times today. It shows some of the brutal tactics being used by rebels against the opposition. What do you think pictures like this, stories about the rebels' actions, do to the administration's push for military strikes and for backing these rebels?
Makes it very complicated, Nora and Charlie, and the administration know that. That's why you see the president constantly talk about military strikes against the Syrian regime as being about chemical weapons only, not tipping the balance of the civil war, which is now in its third year, in the direction of any kind of opposition forces, because the administration knows whatever the number is, there are some jihadists and extremists fighting to defeat the Assad regime. What the administration would like to do over time is empower and make stronger the moderate opposition forces. It doesn't want to get anywhere near, publicly or privately, with these jihadist elements, but they know they're there and are trying to keep them and that debate at arm's length.
Major Garrett, thank you.